Everyone knows the UAE for luxury. Marble everywhere, skyscrapers that scrape the clouds, gold vending machines in the malls, and a reputation for being one of the most expensive places on earth to spend a single afternoon. People picture seven-star hotels and supercars idling outside designer stores, and honestly, that version of this country absolutely exists. But it is not the only version. So today I am asking a simple question. Can you actually experience the capital city Abu Dhabi on $50 or less without skipping a single iconic site? Not a watered-down budget version of the trip. The real version. The mosque, the history, the beach, the food that people actually grow up eating here. I am giving myself 24 hours and $50, and I am going to prove that this city is just as accessible as it is impressive. No taxis unless absolutely necessary. No tourist menus. Just smart choices, public transport, and a willingness to walk a little further for something better. Let's go. Morning. The crown jewel, and it's completely free. We are starting the day at the single most important landmark in the entire city, the Sheikh Zayed Grand Mosque. This is not just a building. It is one of the most architecturally stunning structures on the planet, capable of holding over 40,000 worshippers at once, and home to the largest hand-knotted carpet in the world. The carpet alone took years to complete and involves thousands of kilograms of wool and silk woven by hundreds of artisans working together on a single, continuous piece. Walking through that massive marble courtyard as the early morning sun hits the minarets is genuinely one of those moments that makes you stop talking for a second. White marble stretches out in every direction, inlaid with detailed floral patterns made from semi-precious stones, and the scale of the place is almost hard to process standing in the middle of it. The domes overhead seem to multiply the further you walk, dozens of them in total, each one slightly different from the last. Reflecting pools line the courtyard, designed so the building doubles itself in the water during the day and glows even brighter once it is lit up at night. Inside the main prayer hall, the world's largest chandelier hangs above you, and the artwork on the walls uses gold leaf so subtly that it takes a second look to even notice. None of it feels excessive. It feels intentional. Like every detail was placed there to inspire quiet rather than just impress. And here is the best part. Entry is completely free. You just need to book your visiting slot online ahead of time and dress conservatively when you go. Modest clothing for everyone, and a headscarf provided for women if needed, available right at the entrance at no charge. $0 spent, and we have already seen one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. To get around for the rest of the day, we are skipping taxis entirely. Instead, we pick up a local half-lot bus card at the station. A single ride costs about 2 dirhams, which works out to roughly 50 cents. The buses here are spotless, fully air-conditioned, and run on a clean, reliable schedule, with digital displays showing exactly when the next bus arrives. Loading up the card and taking our first ride cost us a little over $3 total, and now we have transportation sorted for the entire day. No surge pricing, no negotiating a fare, no sitting in traffic worrying about the meter running. Just a clean seat and a cold blast of air conditioning as the mosque shrinks behind us out the window. Midday. Legendary cheap eats and a walk through history. For lunch, we are tracking down a spot that locals swear by, Beit El Ketiar. Abu Dhabi has an incredible immigrant food scene that most visitors never even hear about, let alone experience, shaped by decades of workers and families arriving from across the Levant, South Asia, and North Africa. At this spot, you can get a massive, perfectly spiced chicken shawarma, fresh pita bread, and crispy stuffed falafel all together for about $5.50. The shawarma here comes off the spit hot, wrapped tight, and loaded with garlic sauce and pickles, the kind of place where the guy behind the counter has clearly made the same sandwich 1,000 times and still takes pride in getting it right. The falafel is crisp on the outside and bright green on the inside, which tells you it was made fresh that morning rather than sitting around under a heat lamp. There is something almost meditative about eating a meal like this standing at a counter, watching the city move past outside, knowing you just paid a fraction of what the same quality would cost a few kilometers away near the hotels. After lunch, we hop right back on the bus and head to the Abu Dhabi Heritage Village. This is a completely free open-air museum that recreates what desert life looked like here before the oil boom changed everything, and walking through it feels like stepping into a different century entirely. You pass traditional campfire setups where demonstrators sometimes show how bread used to be baked directly in hot sand. Old Adobe-style buildings built from palm fronds and mud, the way actual Bedouin homes once were, and small workshops showing pottery, weaving, and metalwork that have mostly disappeared from daily life in the modern city. It is a quiet, reflective kind of place, especially when you consider how fast this entire region transformed in just a few decades, from a small pearl diving and fishing community to one of the most modern cities on the planet, all within a single human lifetime. Older Emiratis can still remember the world this village recreates, which makes it feel less like a museum and more like a memory preserved on purpose. And as a bonus, the Heritage Village sits right on the water, which gives you one of the absolute best views anywhere in the city. The entire modern skyline reflecting across the bay, directly across from where traditional desert life used to happen. It is a striking contrast, glass towers shimmering on one side of the water and palm frond huts on the other, and it costs absolutely nothing to take in. Afternoon. The Corniche and a breezy bike ride. Right next door to the Heritage Village is the Abu Dhabi Corniche, an 8-kilometer stretch of coastline with white sand beaches on one side and a wall of glass skyscrapers on the other. The public beach areas here are completely free to enter, and the boardwalk is clean, wide, and perfectly maintained, lined with palm trees spaced out just far enough to give everyone a little shade without blocking the view. Families have picnics spread out on the grass nearby. Joggers move past in the early afternoon heat, and every so often someone is out on a paddleboard further out in the calm water. It does not feel like a tourist attraction so much as a place where the entire city actually spends its weekends, which makes it feel more genuine than a lot of paid attractions ever manage to. As the afternoon heat starts to ease off, we rent a local city bike for around $4 and cruise along the boardwalk with the turquoise water on one side and the skyline rising up on the other. It is one of those simple pleasures that does not need to cost much to feel incredible: wind in your face, the sound of waves nearby, and one of the most photogenic skylines in the world drifting past as you pedal. You can stop wherever you want, lock the bike up, dip your feet in the water for a few minutes, and keep going. There is no schedule to follow and no entrance fee to justify by rushing through it. Evening. Real Emirati hospitality. You genuinely cannot leave Abu Dhabi without trying authentic Emirati food. And for that, we head to Al Fanar restaurant as the sun starts to dip toward the horizon. Al Fanar is designed deliberately to look like an old Emirati neighborhood from decades ago, with low buildings, wind towers, and decor that intentionally recreates what daily life looked like here before the modern city existed, right down to old radios and vintage photographs on the walls. We order the chicken makbuz, a heavily spiced, slow-cooked rice dish that is about as close to a national dish as this country has. The rice soaks up deep, warm spices over hours of cooking. Things like dried lime, cardamom, and cinnamon, layered together until the whole dish smells like something that has been simmering since early morning. The chicken underneath falls apart the moment your fork touches it, and a tangy tomato-based sauce called dakuz usually comes alongside it, adding a sharp contrast to the richness of the rice. The portion size is enormous, clearly meant for sharing even when you order it solo. Paired with a cup of local carrot tea on the side, the entire meal costs about $12, and it leaves you completely comfortably full. The kind of full where you sit back in your chair for a few extra minutes before even thinking about standing up. Outside, the sky shifts into a deep orange glow over the Arabian Gulf as we finish the meal. And honestly, there are worse ways to end a day than watching that kind of sunset with a full plate of makbuz in front of you and the sound of the city slowly winding down around you. The final tally. So let's add it all up. We walked through one of the most beautiful mosques on the planet, completely free. We learned the history of this region at an open-air heritage museum, also free. We biked along a turquoise coastline with skyscrapers towering above us. And we ate 2 incredible, authentic meals that left us full both times for less than $15 combined. Total spent for the entire day, just over $26. Out of the $50 I started with, I walked away with almost $24 still in my pocket. That is enough for a hostel bed for the night, a few more meals tomorrow, or just a stack of snacks for the flight home. Abu Dhabi has a reputation for being a city built entirely around luxury and excess, and in a lot of ways, that reputation is well earned. There genuinely is a version of this place with private islands and gold-plated everything. But underneath all of that, there is an entire other version of this city that is accessible, affordable, and honestly just as memorable. Clean public buses that run on time, world-class landmarks that cost nothing to enter, beach boardwalks open to everyone, a museum that preserves where this whole place came from, and meals that cost less than a coffee back home but taste like something you will remember for years. You do not need a private jet or a five-figure budget to understand what makes this city special. Sometimes all you need is a bus card, a little patience, and a willingness to eat where the locals actually eat. Abu Dhabi on a budget is not a compromise. It is an absolute win. If you want to see more cities broken down like this, the real cost of experiencing them properly without the marketing gloss, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next stop.